So, my opinion, I think that President Biden can actually get the Democrats on board with this and send out stimulus checks sooner than later. If you guys agree, tell me in the comments down below.
The economy, your economy, and fighting the pandemic. But you know, I refer to him, and he knows this to be true because when I was back seeking the nomination, he is the environmental governor of the nation. This guy is leading the whole country. And you have one heck of a congressional delegation. Starting.
We have some breaking news about the fourth stimulus check. The IRS has released a new announcement, everybody, and here's what it is. The new payments that will begin going out to the American people are sent very soon. State governors have gone and confirmed that $2,000 stimulus checks are available to be claimed right now in several states across the U.S. For instance, the governor, Tom Wolf, is calling on the General Assembly to pass legislation for the American Rescue Plan to fund a $500 million opportunity program, which would include $2,000 checks to people in Pennsylvania. The governor said, "People shall not have to choose between paying for utilities or groceries. We have the opportunity and the means to ensure that they are not struggling." Is your governor doing the same thing as Governor Wolf in Pennsylvania? Tell me in the comments down below. According to Wolf's office, the state is sitting on more than $2 billion in the federal dollars, and that will be sent back to the federal government by December 31st if it is not used. Last week, the office said that Democratic leaders in the Senate and House had committed to introducing bills to support this program. Under the program, Pennsylvania households with an income of $80,000 or less are going to receive direct payments of up to $2,000. Wolf's $1.7 billion proposal also includes $225 million in support for small businesses, $204 million for direct property tax relief, $325 million for Pennsylvania's healthcare system, and $450 million to invest in conservation, preservation, and revitalization of Pennsylvania communities. So Pennsylvania is just one of the many states helping out the residents with stimulus checks. Crisis Relief statewide small business assistance program is going to provide grants ranging $5,000 to $50,000 to small businesses that have been economically impacted by the crisis. Among other things, businesses can use these grants to cover operating expenses and access technical assistance, including training and guidance to stabilize and relaunch their businesses. Governor Wolf proposes to recapitalize this program at $225 million to help approximately 11,000 additional businesses. He also wants to invest an additional $204 million into the existing property tax rent rebate program for a one-time bonus rebate to current program users. The investment would double existing rebates. An estimated 466,000 Pennsylvanians would receive an additional average rebate of $475.
Pursuant to House rules, members will appear remotely via Zoom. Everyone's familiar by now with Zoom, but let me remind you of a few points. House rules require that we see you, so please have your cameras turned on at all times. Second, members who are not recognized should remain muted to minimize background noise and feedback. Third, I'll recognize members verbally, but members retain the right to seek recognition also verbally. In regular order, members will be recognized by seniority for questions. Lastly, if you want to be recognized outside of that regular order, you may identify that in one of several ways. You may use the chat function to send a request. You may send an email to the majority staff, or you may unmute your mic to seek recognition. We will now begin the hearing. Committee will come to order. Without objection, the chair is authorized to declare a recess of the committee at any time. I want to welcome everyone to the hearing, which seeks to examine the operations and financial condition of the Internal Revenue Service, with a focus on how the agency will fare this tax season, which has now begun. And I now will recognize myself for an opening statement. Throughout the pandemic, we turned to the Internal Revenue Service to keep our country from economic collapse. After decades of partisan attacks and the intentional starvation of the agency, we asked the agency to accomplish the impossible, to process nearly 150 million tax returns worth $365 billion, issue 479 million pandemic stimulus payments totaling $812 billion, and send child tax credit payments to 36 million families totaling $93 billion. thereby lifting 1/4 of children in the United States out of poverty. These evolving responsibilities and requirements did not always go smoothly. More than 195 million people called the IRS for help during the 2020 filing season, which is nearly 4.5 times more calls than it received in 2019. Unfortunately, about 82% of those calls received busy signals or disconnections, and the taxpayers simply hung up out of frustration. The IRS is entering the tax season with a massive backlog.
So there is a ton of news about the fourth stimulus payments, folks, that you want to know. The IRS announced that another batch of checks will be sent out. Here's the latest news if you're on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, or RRB. If you're still missing stimulus money, then know this. The IRS has reported that it has already completed sending out the $1,400 stimulus checks. But many of you may qualify to get more money depending on your 2021 taxes. As part of the American Rescue Plan, the IRS issued more than 175 million economic impact payments to help people cope with the effects of the crisis. As part of the American Rescue Plan, the IRS issued more than 175 million economic impact payments to help people cope with the effects of the crisis. The legislation gave the IRS a December 31st, 2021 deadline to distribute those payments, which amounted to the third stimulus check for the crisis. Last week, the IRS announced it has officially sent out all third stimulus payments, but an important thing to remember, friends, is that some $1,400 third stimulus checks may still be in the mail. In an official news release, the IRS is no longer issuing third stimulus payments as required by law. If you never got your third stimulus check or think you maybe do more money, please don't worry, because the third economic impact payment was an advance payment of the 2021 recovery rebate credit. So you can recoup missing funds by claiming the credit on your tax return, and this is especially important because the IRS used tax information from your 2020 return or earlier to calculate stimulus payments, and more money may be available if your circumstances have changed since then. Ultimately, the amount of your recovery rebate credit is based on your income and the number of eligible dependents on your 2021 taxes. If your income has dipped from the amount on your 2020 tax return, or if you added a new dependent to your family in 2021, you may be able to claim additional stimulus money when you file your taxes this season. Some awesome news also is that if you had a baby in 2021 and claim your child as a dependent on your 2021 tax return, you'll be eligible for a new check of up to $1,400. Likewise, if you've added another dependent, which could be a grandchild, parent, or other qualifying relatives, you may be able to claim up to $1,400 per person. The IRS is also encouraging new parents to claim the child tax credit on their 2021 tax returns to receive a credit of up to $3,600 per child. Tax season has already officially started and runs until April 18th in most states. In most cases, it's advised as soon as possible. That's done to get a speedy refund. Many of you are also wondering about the next monthly child tax credit,